Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Mel. I grew up playing outside.
And I grew up doing something meaningful, watching movies and TV.
I never had cable, and we finally bought a VCR about the same time DVD players hit the market.
Throughout our marriage, Mel has sadly missed many of my pop culture references and movie quotes.
So it's time to catch up on all the films I missed.
Good evening, Melissa.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm feeling a little off today. I'm feeling like you've been giving me the cold shoulder with this change in our life that's happened lately.
Okay, so you may feel that way, but I'm not giving you the cold shoulder.
Okay.
And I'm not ignoring, well, I am, but I'm not, I'm just not able to do the podcast because I'm in grad school.
Yeah, you are growing that big old brain of yours.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and keep my hooks in you at least once a month, and there may be some new guests more frequently showing up on the show. We will see.
That's right. And I'll still remain a producer on the show with having some input.
Executive producer, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. So that being said, in honor of there's a couple reasons I picked the movie that we are going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
One, the cold shoulder pun. I love puns, as anyone who's listened to me for more than 5 seconds can tell. And we also lived through the United States. The Southern and Midwest lived through this crazy big storm. So I thought that Cool Runnings would be the way to go for this week's film.
Yeah, so this week's film is also the answer to this question. What do you do when you're on vacation? You've driven down to visit family in North Carolina.
Yes.
And your car breaks down.
Yes.
And you cannot drive it. And you're in North Carolina. This happens on a Saturday, and there's nothing open until Monday. No. What do? You're stuck.
You're stuck.
You were going to drive home, but you can't now.
You can't.
And your relatives have literally thousands of movies.
Like organized in shelving units. It was like being in heaven. I felt like I had fallen into a bunker of my dreams.
It was like your own personal Blockbuster with
really
no
was.
late fees.
It really was.
And there was like, a 3-step walk from most of the movies to the couch.
Yes, it was fantastic.
And we couldn't go anywhere.
We couldn't go anywhere. We were trapped.
It was like your dream.
It really was.
It was your birthday.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
That's true. People kept asking me, "Are you okay?" I'm like, yeah, I could stay here for a couple weeks.
So, first of all, thanks to Brittany and Bill. Because
absolutely.
they sponsored this episode.
They sure did. They sure did. We had a mint condition DVD print of Cool Runnings, which we got to enjoy. Had you seen that movie before?
I had not seen it before. I've always wanted to because I saw the trailer whenever it came out.
Sure.
And oh my gosh, I've always wanted to see it. The trailer looked so funny, so inspiring.
Yeah.
So I was like super happy when you were like, "Hey, we're going to watch this movie." I was like, "Yes, wish granted."
Did you know anything about it? Like, you saw the trailer, so you kind of had a good idea going in, like what was going to be coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, I knew the general plot, right?
Okay.
But I did not know some of the stars who were in it.
I know, right?
And that was like, whoa,
yeah.
Yes, I love him. We'll talk about him after,
of course,
we watch the trailer or share the trailer.
Yeah. So did the storm, being in the middle of a storm, a giant storm coming, did that like help your mind with preparing for this one or no?
I think you're over exaggerating. So we weren't actually in the storm.
Hey, it snowed in Carolina.
After we left,
that's fair. It snowed the day we left.
The day that we were going to leave, that was the day that like this big, snowstorm and cold rush like went through the area of the U.S. that we were going to drive through.
Sure.
So I did not feel like I was in a storm. It was more like maybe like a zombie movie where you're like, okay, we're stuck inside this mall or this video store and we have to make it work. Yeah.
I think the thing that I'm connecting with the storm is news. Like it was all over all social media. There was like it's like with the zombie movie.
Everything
They're like
shut down.
all of a sudden there's just weird stuff happening everywhere. And there were like these, it's coming. I think that's what I'm remembering. Anywho.
Advanced school closures. It doesn't get much more serious than that. So you've never seen the poster of this movie, right? Right.
So
that I remember.
Yeah. What would the movie poster of this film look like if you were designing it?
I was gonna like go kind of serious, but after like thinking about it, this movie is not serious. Mm-hmm. So it'll be something more like, I don't know, lots of Jamaican colors of the flag, the red, green, and yellow.
Okay.
And maybe just like maybe the bathtub scene where they're training in the bathtub.
Okay. So
and it might
4 guys in a bathtub.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it might say something like, this was their new dream or something.
Being in the bathtub.
Yeah, I can see this as a little problematic.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, we all have adversity to overcome. Speaking of emotional adversity, though, Disney makes an amazing trailer, as you know, and let's roll that trailer and see if it still holds up. Let's check it out.
Yes.
You zigging? You zagging? Ooh. Always remember, your bones will not break in a bobsled. No. They shatter. So, who wants in?
We're looking for a sponsor for the first Jamaican bobsled team.
Their dream was to compete in the Olympics. But they chose a sport they knew nothing about.
Great. Very good.
In a climate they had never been.
Cold weather endurance is vital to building a successful sled team.
This is the true story of 4 unlikely athletes.
How about I beat your butt right now?
How about I draw a line down the middle of your head so it looks like a butt?
Who weren't prepared for what they were about to face.
It's a beautiful afternoon in Calgary, and there is a lot more coming up.
Is this whole thing a big joke? I can't get my helmet on. Oh, thanks, coach.
Why don't you put some training wheels on that sled?
Leave the bobsledding to the real man.
You know you're gonna have to do this on your own one day.
You have no business here, Jamaica.
People are always afraid of what's different.
Now! God!
But they found in each other
Do you really expect these Jamaicans to qualify?
the courage to give it their all.
Not only are they gonna qualify, they're gonna turn some heads doing it.
I see pride. I see power.
And they took the whole world along for the ride.
Is to follow your dreams. Follow your dreams.
Walt Disney Pictures presents
I am feeling very Olympic today.
a story for anyone who dares to stand out in a crowd.
I didn't come up here to forget who I am and where I come from.
And everyone with the courage to stand up for their dreams.
How will I know if I'm enough?
When you cross that finish line,
Where did these guys come from?
you'll know.
Cool runnings.
So what are we going to name this sled? Tallulah. Tallulah.
That's my mother's name.
Tallulah. That's nice. I like it.
Wow. Was that inspired and what? Do you have tears in your eyes?
I loved that. I'm so glad I finally got to watch it. It was as good as I hoped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the trailer, I get emotional when I see the opening credits for movie studios sometimes. Like 20th Century Fox.
Nerd.
I am such a nerd, 100%.
Okay, go on.
But like the scores they use, they're like just these rushing, like Universal, dun 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 dun, and then it like goes in and then ends with the French horn. I'm getting chills thinking about it.
The other day, our daughter was like playing on the cajon. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. So I love it when I love and hate. I feel betrayed emotionally, like they're trying to trick me when there's a trailer that has like the swelling music that pulls all the heartstrings. Well, so anywho.
But you love it and you hate it?
Yeah, because I don't like being manipulated, but I also love it. I'm complex human, okay?
For me, Disney is the master at manipulating me.
Oh, 100%.
Like I can watch a short and with like in 2 chords, I'm crying.
Oh, yeah.
This is, yeah.
Totally.
Okay, but this was a Disney movie. Did not remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it had John Candy in it.
It was his last film before his last complete film before he passed away. Yeah. He died at 43.
Man.
That was wild.
He was so good in this film.
He was really good.
Yeah. What did you like about him?
It was a serious part for him.
Yeah.
Like, it was, even though it was a comedy and he did some funny stuff, he was like doing a dramatic part. He was in the Olympic parks a lot. It reminded me a lot of his Uncle Buck, honestly.
Me too. Yeah.
I got some strong Uncle Buck vibes because that also had very serious parts too.
Stern love.
Yeah.
Right? Like, take your medicine. It's good for you, sort of.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great performance, like, for him to like have his last complete movie.
Yeah.
It was really great in it.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, check it out. 1993 classic.
Yeah, Uncle Buck, you mean?
No,
this
Cool
one.
Runnings.
I'm like, okay.
Oh, Uncle Buck, of course, is great too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. What did you think? How did you like his performance?
I loved it. His story was great. The like disgraced coach, being talked into, his arm was really had to be twisted to like do this.
That was hilarious. The sequence, the montage they did to like get him to agree to do it was really funny.
Yeah, that was really great. And him kind of like going back into that world and being really earnest and then being really put down and shoved aside.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where he goes into like the boardroom of the Olympic decision makers because they keep making maybe we should talk about.
You want to give a summary?
The summary. Yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, I just assume it's
You're
pretty
so excited.
obvious.
Well, the trailer goes through it, but I always like hearing your salt and pepper for it. Little seasoning.
Okay, so these athletes in Jamaica, one of them tried out for the Olympics. It was going to be his year to go, but
actually three of them did.
Yeah. And they all kind of like tripped in the race. Maybe it was the fault of one of them. And
it totally was. You're being too nice.
I am. But then their chances of going to the Olympics were gone, poof, in an instant. But then the leader was like not wanting to be deterred from his goal of going to the Olympics, and he found this like thing
Loophole
about
almost.
he discovered the sport of bobsledding.
Yep.
And then found out that there's like this coach who won the gold for bobsledding who lives in Jamaica. Whoa, crazy coincidence.
That's
Convinced him to train them. They trained, they went to the Olympics, and that's where they were getting a ton of like pushback from all the other teams. And one of the things that happened was the Olympic people, the committee who were like making rules.
Yeah, the qualifiers committee, qualifying committee. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They were changing the rules in order to make it harder so that they couldn't compete in the Olympics. And so finally, this is getting to the point. John Candy, the coach, he goes into the room where they're having this meeting, and he's like basically calls in their basic decency. Like, these boys deserve a chance. They worked hard. They deserve to be here.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It
and
did.
that is like so awesome and inspiring. And it's like what we want in a movie like this.
Only happens in a Disney movie.
Love it.
Yeah, it is good. And then they compete, and Jamaica is proud, and everybody comes together in the end. And yeah. Disney movie.
Yeah, so we should mention that, like, I don't know if it says it in the beginning.
Yeah, how much of this is based on a true story?
Does it say that in the beginning of the movie?
I think it says based on a true story.
I think they should retract that statement because
sure does.
There's like almost nothing real about the story.
Well, no, I mean, based on is they use the basis form of based on. What part of it, why am I saying part weird today? What part of it is true?
Okay, Jamaica did send a bobsled team to the Olympics.
That's true.
The men on the team were like from the military. They weren't athletes that like missed their chance.
Yeah.
They were welcomed by the Olympic Committee. Like none of that was like real.
Yeah.
But it was so dramatic in the story.
It was like chip on their shoulder. Some of the characters had chips on their shoulders.
One of the reasons their coach is disgraced because he was like found out to be cheating that he like weighted the sled. It's actually not illegal to weight the sled.
Right.
Like that's not even a real rule. Like they took a lot of
Yes. I always love, and I think I can't remember if I've mentioned this before, but I thought I'd be really good at being a continuity editor in film.
Yes.
Like
nerd.
finding all the things that are wrong with it and making sure they have the right things and calling them out and correcting it. Like sometimes someone writes a script, they're obviously not an expert in everything, when they write the script. So they were probably just like, why would someone get kicked out of bobsledding? And this is 1993. It's not like you could just Google it and find out like the qualifying like rules for bobsledding. So he probably was like, oh, just throw weight in there. That just got in the script.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
And you might be thinking like, okay, what was real about this movie? At least, like, what about Dougie Doug? Which, oh my gosh, he's in this movie. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. He like has this thing where he has an egg.
Yes.
And he kisses it. Was the egg real? No.
Of course
it's made
not.
of rubber.
Of course not. Do you have any other facts about the eggs? Because I do, if you don't.
No, what?
No, go ahead, please.
Do you have a dozen facts about the eggs?
Oh! Wow.
What's your fact?
That was a runny joke. My fact is, as of 2015, he still had the eggs. Like, he kept them after the production.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love
cool.
that.
The egg was one of the most random parts of the movie.
Oh, but you need that in a classic story like this.
Yeah,
you
fair.
need
Quirkiness.
the characters all to be very unique from each other.
Yeah.
Right? Like they all had a different backstory, but then it gels.
True. It's the odd couple story.
Right.
The egg still was really weird. It's just so random. They don't explain it. They don't note if it's like a cultural thing or if it's just a him thing. He just has an egg with him. He keeps it in a necklace around his shirt, like, under his shirt.
Yeah.
And then you see them a lot, like crashing and smashing into each other.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
when they're in the bobsled, when they literally crash. And the egg is fine throughout all of this, which is just, it boggles the mind. It really boggles the mind. So, wow. Anything else in the movie real? Except for the emotions it made me feel?
I mean, yeah, the emotions were real.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good story.
Yeah.
Our kids liked it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They were really surprised, I think, that everybody was so mean to them.
Yeah.
Like they were like, why is everybody so mean? And it's great to hear that that's actually not how it was at all. Like,
that was the first thing we looked up.
Yeah.
After we watched the movie.
Yeah. Because that seemed pretty extreme. And usually the Olympics tend to be a pretty, everybody wants to compete and support each other so they can all compete and represent
it seems like
the
a real
country.
community, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just like band camp.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure.
Don't digress us over there.
Okay, so what's interesting to me about this movie, looking at like the trivia,
Yeah.
Disney had, with this movie in mind, they had like this star-studded cast that they wanted to do with like Denzel Washington, Eddie Murphy, Wesley Snipes, and Marlon Wayans. And
I want to see that movie.
Well, really?
I can't wait till AI can make movies for us so we can see that movie and then they'll just make it.
okay,
Can you imagine Denzel Washington in this film? Imagine the intensity that he has.
Like,
I'm assuming Eddie Murphy would be Dougie Fresh's character, but
yeah, Dougie Doug.
Dougie Doug. I always want to call him Dougie Fresh. I don't know why I have that in my head. Maybe he was in a TV show or he changed his name later, something like that. What were you saying though? About
Maybe it's
Powerhouse?
just you. I don't know.
There's weird stuff that hangs in your memory. So
what I wanted to ask is like, do you think, like, what do you think was the effect of having like mostly, like, besides John Candy and Dougie Doug, like the other actors were pretty unknown to me anyway.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that influenced, like, what was the effect of that? Do you think the movie would have been better with a star-studded cast or worse, or like, talk about that?
I think the story, I mean, you got to go back to 93 too. I think that's before Denzel had won. Eddie would have been the biggest star back then. Like, I can't remember when Glory came out. That's when Denzel won his Oscar and then he got super famous. But having the actors they had, I think, was better because then it's not a vehicle for a whole bunch of movie stars. It's like about the story. And whenever you have the story, it's always infinitely better than just like, it can easily become like a trite movie just about like people doing their shtick. You know what I mean?
Also, when it's like people that you've seen acting before, you kind of associate them with a certain persona.
Yeah.
And so you're not open to like what actually the character might be sometimes.
Totally.
Like it would have been Denzel, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it reminds me of like, I think that was the idea going into Jurassic Park when they were casting for Jurassic Park, like no known actors, like only using like people who were not as known at that time.
Yeah, they weren't mega stars. That's true.
Yeah.
Like they'd been in the game for a long time, like, but yeah.
But I think that really worked for Jurassic Park also. So I think that really worked for this movie as well.
Are you honing your new superpower of making it so you can talk about Jurassic Park in any situation? Is that what's happening? Spared no expense, girl. You know one of the actors, though. Leon, he was the main runner guy who had the dreams.
Yeah.
He's played by Darius Bannock.
The leader?
Yeah, the leader. You know him.
From what? He does look familiar.
First off, I knew him from a movie that I should not have watched when I was younger, but
Surprise.
Oh my goodness. Like one of my dad's wives, she had VHSs like crazy, and she would always rent. That's how I got introduced to Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme movies when I was probably way too young. And one of the movies I think that was in the house was called New Jack City. You ever heard of this movie?
No, I have not.
For those who know, it is not a kid's movie at all. And Darius, he was in that movie, so I have very specific pictures in my mind from that movie.
Oh.
Maybe I'll show it to you one day.
Oh. No, don't ruin this movie for me.
No, it won't ruin this movie for you.
Okay.
But I pictured that when I saw him, which is just kind of crazy, given it's a Disney movie. You know him from a very controversial Madonna video.
Oh, wait a second. Like a virgin?
Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it sounds like home.
Home.
When you call like a prayer.
Yeah. I'm still sorry.
You don't remember the video?
I'm singing the song, but I'm trying to remember the video.
Oh,
I didn't really see.
Oh,
do you know I saw the video? Have we talked about it?
I would be shocked if you hadn't seen this Madonna video, honestly. I think I've played it before. Madonna has black hair in it, which is very odd for her. Like, usually she was all blonde through the 80s, it was the early 90s. And he plays, she goes into a church. The song is Like a Prayer. And he's like a Jesus statue, a black Jesus statue, and he eventually comes to life in the music video.
I have never seen this video.
You've never seen that?
No. And I saw the video recording for her Like a Virgin tour.
Yeah.
Like the whole concert. I've seen that.
Okay. Wow.
But I have not seen this video. I didn't have cable.
Okay. It was probably on ABC or something, and then they got in trouble because they broadcast. They're like Madonna, and they broadcast it, and then everyone was like, "Oh my goodness!" It was like sponsored by a really big, like family-friendly sponsor too. The whole video, the whole thing. Oh my goodness, it was such a boondoggle. Oh, the 80s and 90s were amazing.
They were
so great.
I wish we still had that much fun.
Yeah. Back to the movie.
Wait, one more thing.
Yes.
You mentioned Steven Seagal. You totally have a Steven Seagal hair do right now.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
I don't know what you're talking about, Melissa.
I mean, besides the beard, but like
I could kill this podcast in 15 different ways right now.
Your low tight ponytail is
fair.
Definitely giving Seagal vibes.
Okay, well, I'll have to let it loose later and do a couple roundhouse kicks. Have you ever seen a Steven Seagal movie?
Maybe.
I'm going to make you watch so many Steven Seagal movies.
Oh.
No. Trust me. It'll be okay. I promise. Trust me.
Shaking my head. I'm shaking my head.
I'm just saying, trust me. It'll be okay. I promise. Wow, which one to start with? Back to Cool Runnings. So, wow. If you could be in any Olympic sport that you have very little knowledge of, what would it be?
Well, obviously, I always wanted to do ice skating, like figure skating.
Okay.
When I was a kid, but I had knowledge of how to ice
Right.
skate. But wow. Do you know what I don't understand the rules of and everything?
Ping pong?
Well, no, I understand ping pong.
I'm just messing with you.
I'm thinking of we watched the Summer Olympics last year.
Okay.
And like the gun shooting one.
Yeah.
That was crazy to watch. and not exciting at all. Sorry for all the people who loved it.
Marksman. I think it's like Marksman. Or I don't remember what the official title is, but yeah.
And then there was like ones where they're like rock climbing. Some of them were like racing.
Speed rock climbing.
Speed rock climbing. That was crazy. I wouldn't know anything about that. So yeah, I'll sign me up for that.
All right. I want to be in a movie. I thought for sure you were going to pick breakdancing because that's the new hotness.
I forgot about that.
And I really,
that was
you would
the
be
thing.
like that Australian breakdancer who's a teacher because you're a teacher too. So that'd be pretty crazy. I would do curling 100%. 100%.
Curling, I don't understand that at all, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah. The only thing I know about curling is people scream a lot at rocks. I think the screaming helps the rock stop.
The rocks are beautiful.
The rocks are beautiful. And it's a very specific rock.
Stone.
And it's only from a certain part of the planet, if I recall correctly. And it was like, they're going to run out. And no other material like slides the exact same way. So it's like a ticking time bomb. They need to rescue the sport. So that would be what my movie would be about.
But what if, wait, what if we discover a planet that's made out of that stone and we have to go to that planet and get some supplies to make more?
Let's not be unrealistic here. Let's just say it's part of the asteroid belt, right? Okay.
Sure.
That's closer.
Sure.
Okay. All right. That sounds amazing. It could be Curlageddon.
Beltalowda. Okay, so back to Cool Runnings.
Now I'm just thinking about the plot of a movie like this. Sorry, Cool Runnings.
I think we should talk about our favorite parts.
Okay.
It's one of those movies that has so many. So, favorite parts.
My favorite part was when they were practicing in Jamaica doing bobsled racing. Like they were in a wheeled vessel. Like it was like a bobsled with wheels and they were going down a mountain, not a mountain hill. And then they end up running into the cops. And then John Candy like was so impressed and so focused with like how well they did. He like basically rebuked the cops and told them to do it again and they were fine. Like that was just great.
That's awesome.
What about you?
One quick side note.
Sure.
The whole pushcart thing, you know, how it started, that is actually real. That the Dougie Doug.
That's real.
His character was really a pushcart driver.
Yeah, well,
and that inspired the whole pushcart thing inspired the movie.
I thought there were American financiers who saw it and they wanted to do it because of that. Yeah.
Okay, so other favorite parts. There's like two of the guys. One is kind of shy. His dad like tells him what to do all the time.
He's the rich boy. Yeah.
He's the rich boy. Yeah, and he's like breaking ties with his family to like come do this. And then the other is like strong, silent type who's angry at the world.
I gotta get
and
out
he
of
was
Jamaica.
angry at the rich boy for tripping him.
Yep.
So of course, like those two, like their relationship like gets stronger over the course, but like they don't, you don't, you know, it's like one of those stories. I love it.
Yeah.
But there's a part where like they're in a bar and the strong silent guy is like trying to teach the rich boy how to like stand up for himself and his like power and like looking at himself in the mirror and like psyching himself up and that whole story I really, really liked. And he ends up like standing up to his dad, but something happens in the bar. Like he like punches some guys.
He goes out
they
and
get in a
talks.
huge fight.
I think it's the East Germans who were at the time, it was before the wall had fallen. So the East Germans were like part of communist USSR. And so they were the big bad guys, the East Germans. And he went out and he had made fun of him or something. The East German had like berated him and then he went in the bathroom and psyched himself up. And then he went out and they ended up getting into a bar fight.
Yeah.
And then, they just kind of swept it under the rug because everybody would have got in trouble. So everybody was like, oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah. I liked that. Was a good part.
Yeah, that was good. It's always nice when it's a delicate balance when you're writing a movie I just watched a couple movies where you see side characters. You're like, who's that? I don't care. Why are you telling me more about this person? I really don't care. And having a hook where you actually do, like, it's such a fine line of that. Like, they did a really good job with this one because you actually did care.
I think one reason it worked, because in my mind, I'm obviously comparing this to the Mighty Ducks.
Of course.
And the Mighty Ducks, big team, kind of little sprawl, right? Side character sprawl.
Yeah.
In this movie, there's just 4 main characters. There's the leader and then the 3 side characters. So you have like a tighter focus. Yeah. You can spend more time on each character. versus the Mighty Ducks, where it just kind of goes a little bit too much.
Goes foul.
Although I love the Mighty
it
Ducks.
goes foul, you might say.
It migrates off the page a little bit.
Yes. Wow.
I still love the Mighty Ducks. But anyway, I've been comparing the sports movies that I know, and that's like the one sports movie I could think of.
I mean, I have to assume in the 80s and 90s, there was a writer's room at Disney, and they were just like, all right, what sport are we making a movie about? Because there were just so many of them. There were hockey ones. There were baseball ones. Like literally, it seemed like they were just throwing darts. And they're like, all right, challenge of the weekend, Frank. Go home and write a script about dart throwing, bobsledding. And then he does. That's just kind of what it feels like. That may or may not be true. We'll never know. There's no way to check. Like in the 90s.
How's Disney doing now?
In general?
Yeah. Are they doing okay?
Are you worried about them?
A little bit.
I mean,
a little worried.
I could get really nerdy, but they were doing great, then they were not doing so great, and now they're kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
That's a really short. I'm not going into the deep minutiae.
That's kind of my perception too. We're on the same page.
Yeah. Their streaming business has started to do better, which is a big deal. So they're doing okay.
Okay.
Don't worry about them.
I was really worried about Bob Iger.
I had another. You want to call Bobby? Okay, let us know. I wanted to know, who do you think would win in a fight? Right? John Candy's coach or Gene Hackman from Hoosiers?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, Gene Hackman, he's got, I think, a little more power in his punch. Right? He's got some muscles to...
Okay.
Are we talking about a fist fight or a verbal fight?
Oh, I was going to... Well, you tell me. I was going to do both, but I was going to see how you're interpreting the question. I have an answer for both ends, by the way.
Okay. No fair. You knew the question beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fist fight. Who'd win in a bar fight, specifically?
It's hard because Gene Hackman's like super strong, super powerful, but I feel like John Candy brings the crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like he could just go off. I don't know. What's your answer?
I agree. I think John Candy's character would 100% win in a bar fight. He's just shifty and shady, and he would just do dirty pool. Gene Hackman probably wouldn't do dirty pool.
Yeah, like, I mean, John Candy would be the one who would actually break a beer bottle and use it, but I don't think Gene Hackman would.
What about in a rousing speech off?
Probably Gene Hackman.
Of course. How did you even have to think about that?
Because I just, respect to John Candy.
I'm not remembering the speech he made at all, Gene Hackman and Hoosiers.
But you remember the voice, right?
I just hear his barking in my head, echoing in the canals of my brain in the hallways, and it's getting me stirred up and riled up.
Also, like, one of the moments that's funny is John Candy's like, I'm not really good at speeches, so just go out there and do what you do.
Yeah. Wow. So what, if any, messages do you think were in this film, Melissa?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep trying. Obviously, that's don't give up for John Candy. Don't give up for the leader of the team. All the guys on the team, like, they had to keep going, but also be yourself. Because like at the end, they were like, wait, we have to do this the Jamaican way. And that was when like everything turned. Yeah. And it's like things went their way.
And it's hard to turn in a bobsled.
They embraced like being themselves.
You know what I just realized? We didn't describe what bobsledding is. Someone might be listening to this and not even know what bobsledding is.
They can look it up.
All right. It's a long ice sled like path, and you are in a big sled with three other people, and you shoot down it really fast. I think the message in this one is always come up with a theme song. Like everything turned when they started to make their own theme song. Remember? They had their own, they were doing everything similar to what you said. They were doing everything I think it was like I can't remember if it was a German or a Swedish saying. They were doing the same. Oh, you chants.
Said song, but do you mean like the words, like their chant or
They made it into a song pretty much. They were like singing it too.
Oh, okay.
So you need a theme song. You need a theme song.
I need a theme song for grad school.
You do. You need to come up with one.
I'll do that.
I'm sure.
In all my spare time.
Our children can probably come up with one for you, and it will be delightful.
Perfect.
Wow. Okay. So anything else you want to say about this film?
Everyone should watch it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It is a really good one.
Yeah. It's a great time capsule of the 90s, I think.
Totally.
It's completely false about the a lot of the stuff, but the emotional ride is fun and
Yes.
heartwarming, like Disney usually does.
Like a bobsled ride.
And it has plenty of puns about people who are used to warm weather going to cold weather, which is just...
That is also
It's
fun.
pretty fun.
Especially since we live in cold weather. It's fun to laugh at people who don't know how to handle it.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Even though we were once those people. Well,
we were. I don't know when I'm going to see you again. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my lasso out of retirement, and every once in a while I'm gonna throw it, let it launch through the air, and rope you into one of these podcasts.
awesome. I will enjoy it when we do.
Good.
All right.
All right.
Till next time. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Tell us what you think of this film in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.